Welcome back to The Other 90 by FUTXPERFORM, the podcast all about footballers talking about the highs, the lows and everything in between. Today we're joined by a very good friend of mine, Viktor. Viktor, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Viktor Højberg. I am a 23-year-old goalkeeper, currently playing in Aarhus Fremad, Danish side in the Danish first division or second tier. And yeah, like you said yourself, a good friend of yours. Yeah, that's basically
Beautiful,
all about me. Yeah.
Beautiful, lovely. Yeah, good man. For context to the listeners, Viktor and I played together in Cyprus, so we've known each other for quite a while. Viktor's obviously killing it over in the moment in Denmark. Originally from Denmark, Viktor, where are you sort of from and where did you sort of grow up?
Originally from Denmark, like you said. I grew up in Copenhagen and basically lived there my whole life, apart from the last couple of years, but we'll get into that. And beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, good man. So I guess let's get kick-started, Viktor. I mean, for us, you're the first probably Danish player that we've obviously interviewed. I'd love to get to know a little bit more about sort of, and you would know this yourself, every country's youth system being a little bit different. Obviously, Denmark is renowned for being a little bit of a powerhouse in terms of the players that they end up producing. Talk me through a little bit of sort of your academy upbringing and what the environment is like over in the Denmark youth system.
Yeah, so like you said yourself, I mean, Denmark is kind of known for producing a lot of great players, especially from a young age. A lot of players go on to bigger clubs in Europe, to kind of take you through the whole setup and where I came from academy wise. I played at B93, a big academy here in Denmark, not one of the top clubs or like powerhouse clubs, but yeah, it's in the middle of Copenhagen, and we're known for producing players that go on to the bigger academies here in Denmark. Actually started off as a left winger, I was scoring goals for until I was like 13, 14. In a random game, was put in goal and did well, and I thought it was fun, and then the rest is history. And
beautiful.
Yeah, went through the ranks there, under 15, under 17, under 19s, and didn't really break through the senior team, but yeah.
Yeah, perfect, Viktor. And obviously, we're going to go into what that sort of looked like post-academy and where you ended up going. But I guess I'll bring it back to sort of a little bit about Denmark and sort of the academy production that they have. What do you sort of think is, let's say, the secret sauce for the amount of talent that actually gets produced in such a small country like that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a mix of a couple of factors. You have one side of Denmark being a country where football is a major sport, and also the trust that a lot of coaches put into the players, making them play with some of the older teams, but also just trusting them to go into the team and perform. Even though the size of some players, a lot of people in younger ages are maybe like late bloomers and grow when they're 15, and some grow when they're 13 or 17. Like there's such a big difference in some players, but when coaches put trust in a player, and let's say they're not fully developed physically yet, but they have very good like technical package. You know, when you put trust in these players, they grow massively within the team, but also just the potential of them. Because when you play with physical players in the age that they have, you know, they take a massive jump. And then, yeah, like I said, Denmark's just a country where, you know, we put a lot of money and time into football. So yeah, I think that's where a lot of players benefit from being in the system here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I guess you would sort of be able to draw some comparisons from a few different countries that you've been to as well. But when you're in that sort of youth system, what does training look like? What's an average week in, let's say, a youth player's life over in an academy there?
Yeah, I mean, it also obviously it depends on the team and the academy, and a lot has happened the past couple of years after I got out of the youth system. Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the club and the team. I mean, you obviously have training every day. And for some people or some clubs, they'll have school implemented into like kind of the training itself. So you'll like go to class with your teammates and yeah, kind of work school around your training instead of the opposite. Yeah, obviously that's something that just kind of works well for young players. You know, when you're young, all you want to do is go out and have fun and play. And so yeah, I think a lot has happened the past couple of years, and it's not something that I've been a part of, but yeah, a lot of teams are starting to have school or like teachers come out and kind of have school work around training instead of the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's massive. There's not many countries that are so heavily invested into that from a young age, which is always cool. And I guess the other side of the question I had is obviously Denmark itself. It's a smaller country compared to some of the bigger European countries. Being a very big footballing country as well, obviously in the academy side is great, but what's the general environment like? What's the general feel around football there in Denmark? How does the average person go about, you know, when a national team plays or when there's a big game going on?
Yeah, it's it's funny that you say that, because yeah, we are a very small country, but we kind of, yeah, we stick together in a weird way, especially when the national team plays. I remember some of the games I've been to in Copenhagen when the national team has played. You know, it's almost like the whole city or the whole country like becomes one, and you, even though it's a day before or the day of the game, you kind of like celebrate the game, and you just, you know, have fun, and you kind of feel that with some of the bigger clubs as well. If we're not talking the national team, but we're talking, let's say, FC Copenhagen or some of the other big teams here in Denmark, you have a massive following, and yeah, you obviously have the ultras in a lot of teams, but apart from that, you kind of see it more of like a part of the lifestyle. You go have fun with your friends, you go watch some games, and you can even watch a couple, because you know the cities here are so close to each other. So if you go watch one game, there may be a couple hours for another big team to play, half an hour away, and you can go and watch that as well with your friends. So you know, it's kind of yeah, it's a massive part of our culture, especially for the young people here in the country. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think That gives a really good picture of sort of behind the scenes of what Denmark looks like. And obviously it's a great footballing country, one that I know that you love. I guess I then want to jump into, as you mentioned earlier, you went through the academy system there, and you end up getting to the point where you don't quite go through from the end of academy into first team. A lot of players will get to that point and sort of throw in the towel or turn away from football. You obviously went a different route. I guess, first of all, I'd love you to tell and to share what route you ended up going, and then we'll sort of dive a little bit deeper into what was actual driver in that decision.
Yeah, when I was when I was told that I wasn't gonna be a part of the first team, I actually dropped down a level at first to get some playing time at a senior level, but kind of found myself in a situation where I didn't feel like the whole environment had the focus of becoming like better, and it was not all football. So I kind of chose quite early that season that I wanted to try and go to college in the US, and went there the next summer, and played there for a year, which was great. A lot of players from Denmark go to college to kind of try and like build something new. It's kind of like a new start. So going there was massive, and you learn so much from being in a college system where like kind of like what we talked about, like training in Denmark, where school is wrapped around training. You kind of get that feeling in college as well, and you just learn a lot from everything really. And then with the combination of going somewhere completely new on the other side of the world, and experiencing that, it was amazing. It was really, really nice. And yeah.
Beautiful, man. And I guess I'll dive a little bit deeper into sort of that decision and when you made it. You mentioned that you made that decision quite early on. Was that something that was heavily driven by you? Was it sort of with your family around you, or was it sort of a collective decision that you said, you know what, this is something that we want to do?
Yeah, it was obviously just kind of by myself. Obviously I had talks with my family, but it was primarily because of me not being happy where I was at. I was in a team where I didn't get a lot of exposure, and didn't really have a lot of opportunities to go to a level where I may have felt a little bit happier with the level of football. So that's kind of the reason why I wanted to try something new, and also just to experience the system over there, and experience something new, and learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I guess what was your sort of expectations going into college? And obviously there's various parts to that, but mainly on the footballing side of things, what were your expectations? Did you have an idea of what to expect? Was it sort of a little bit of an unknown? How did that sort of line up before you went there?
Yeah, it was definitely an unknown. Because obviously you can hear a lot about how college is, and a lot of people can tell you how the level is, and how it is to live there and live in the dorms and study at the same time, but you really only get the feeling of the level and everything within it once you get there. And so it was kind of just going into something like the unknown, which was kind of thrilling at first. I remember the weeks coming up to to leaving and going to college, it was it was kind of weird, but at the same time, it just such a nice feeling, and going there just kind of proved, I'd say, my my thought about like going there. It took a massive jump in my playing style, and also just like learned a lot from being there. So
Perfect, man. And talk to me a little bit about, let's say you've made the decision, you end up going, you get there, right? Take me through sort of first impressions, and then what would you say sort of from the footballing side? Obviously the way in which college do their system, where it's a short season and then you've got to supplement it with the USL2 or something like that. How did you sort of navigate your way through that? Was it something that was a little bit strange to you? Did you find it quite easy? What was your sort of output on it?
yeah, I mean, it was kind of strange to navigate through it, because it's just such a big difference. I was in Texas, and yeah, I don't think you find bigger differences between well, anywhere in the world between Denmark and Texas. So yeah, it was strange at first, and the first couple of weeks were so weird. Every day I woke up and really had to like almost pinch myself, because it always like almost always just felt like a dream. Um, and yeah, I mean, it was weird at first having this, like you said, kind of like a half a season, or not even, like a couple of months where you're in season. But also, you have 2 games a week, and training at the same time. So you just build this like nice, feeling about the games, because you just jump into them and it's just the same as you did 3 days ago. And yeah, like you said, I mean, you go into this long off season, where you play a couple of friendlies, but it's mainly focused on school, and then yeah, supplementing it by playing USL2, which I did as well for Des Moines Menace, one of the more historic clubs in USL2, where we went into the season in the preseason rankings as number 4, I believe, out of, I don't even know how many teams there are in USL2. So yeah, it was kind of nice to go into the team with the whole league and other teams having big expectations for this team to go in and perform. So it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess one of the topics that's always interesting, and I guess I'll preface this question with sort of the trends that we're seeing now is more and more college squads are being constructed around foreign players. What was the sort of setup, let's say, in your squad when you were there? Like, what was the sort of, how many foreigners were there? Were there a lot of locals in your team? How was that sort of comprised?
Yeah, I mean, we had some internationals, not a lot, but yeah, it was actually mainly, we had a lot of guys from Texas, just 1 or 2 locals, if I remember correctly, and then yeah, some Americans from other states as well. Of course, there were, I don't remember exactly how many internationals we were, but it was kind of a weird mix, because it was different countries, and it was just different leagues people came from, and different playing styles. So the first couple of weeks were kind of strange, and getting to know how people wanted to receive the ball, did they want it at the feet or in behind, or the kind of the tempo of each player. But when you train with each other every day, and you kind of just get used to it so quick. So you learn a lot from each other and learn about each other quite fast. So yeah.
Yeah, of course, man. It's a really interesting. I guess depending on the state, depending on the school as well, obviously has the different makeups of all of that. Victor, I guess one thing I want you to take me through, and probably mainly through your time in the States, it was probably, I would say, outside of some of the experiences that we've had, is one of the bigger eye-opener experiences for you in your younger career. What would you say were some of the hard points or some of the struggles that you went through? You know, when you're first moving away from home, you're moving into college and, you know, your family's on the other side of the world. What were some of the things where you really had to sort of overcome and weren't easy to go through, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely just, being away from everything everyone yeah, it's kind of a big step. I'd lived at home before going there, so like moving out, but also like moving away at the same time was kind of tough at first. But at the same time, you learn a lot about yourself when you make such a big transition. And of course there were hard times where you may go through and a period where your thoughts are going crazy and you think about everyone at home, friends, family, and how much you want to be there. And there's birthdays and your own birthday as well, which I had only 2 weeks after getting to the US, which was kind of weird, like having your 21st birthday in the States and not being at home with everyone you usually celebrated with. So they were like kind of ups and downs at first, where you enjoy it a lot and everything is new, but also you kind of fall into these, like I say, gaps within it, where your thoughts kind of get lost, and you kind of feel like you need closure in a way, and you need you need your family and friends, but at the same time you've put yourself in this situation as well, so you kind of work through it, and at the same time, when I look back at it now, I kind of feel like I learned a lot from it, and even in situations really enjoyed being alone, because you just learn a lot about yourself as well. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it kind of just worked through it, I guess, and yeah.
Beautiful, man. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the last question I have in terms of the college side of things is, Victor, obviously there's definitely a picture painted around the college system and, going into the draft and going pro from that route. What was your sort of perceptions, I guess, before going in college of what that pathway to pro looked like versus going through it? Did it sort of live up to expectations? Did you realize there was a few gaps there? Like, how did you sort of find that part of it?
Yeah, it's actually funny that you say, because I've thought about it a lot of times, even after going there, that like a lot of people have the thought of, like, especially before going there, that like, oh, you're going there, you're going D1, you smash D1 completely, and then you just go pro straight away. You sign for MLS team, and boom, your career is just on the right path. But there's just so many players in the college system, and you really have to like be the best or one of the best to get that possibility and or the opportunity to go that route. But yeah, I mean, I would lie if I said that wasn't my thought as well before going there. Like, you believe so much in yourself, that and your abilities to go there and smash it and go straight into the pro system over there. But yeah, obviously that wasn't the case. And yeah, my last step in the US was for the semi-pro league of USL2, and yeah, that's it's kind of a, like, even looking back at it, you know, you kind of feel, I wouldn't call it ashamed, but kind of like, you know, before going there and thinking that you're gonna go pro straight away, it's yeah, again, you learn a lot about yourself and the thoughts you may have had before that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of players would probably resonate with that if they're sort of in that journey or they've sort of just finished it up. You tend to see that tends to be a big pattern and probably something players don't realise. And so you get to the end of college time and you're sort of at that point where you need to make the next step. Now, I know myself what happens in the next step and there's a little bit of a unique way that goes about. But I guess I want to dive into a little bit about, let's say when you finish up, what's your thought process? Because you're obviously at a point where you need to make some sort of step next. What are you sort of thinking at that time and what do you end up doing essentially?
Yeah, so quite early on, I chose to drop out and kind of pursue trying to go pro in the US. I already did that after, straight after my first semester almost, which was really early. But um, but yeah, I mean, it kind of went fast from there. I signed for this USL2 team, and you know, from May 1st, I went there and started training, and we started the season a week or two after I got there, and yeah, kind of the whole way through the USL2 season, I believe that some team, or just there must be a team that will come in from somewhere and like have an interest in me. But yeah, there wasn't really anything, and and yeah, kind of out of nowhere, I heard about these trial things going on in Europe, and saw one in Cyprus and got contacted by a guy having like set up these trials, and he needed a goalkeeper. So yeah, I think it must have been a week after we got knocked out of USL2 in the conference semifinals. I went back to Denmark for a couple of days, and then went straight to Europe. Sorry, to Cyprus for a week, and played against a couple of teams there. And yeah, after that week, I then had an offer to go on trial for a team. So yeah, headed back to Denmark again for a couple of days, and then went straight back down to to go on trial again. And you know, it was like I said before, when I told my coach in college that I was gonna try and go pro in the US, which I did at first, try that, but when I saw that wasn't the opportunity, I kind of looked in other directions and saw this opportunity. So yeah, went there and went on trial, and got told after a couple of days that they really wanted to have me there, and they offered me a contract, and yeah, it kind of went fast from there. Again, being in a completely new place was also a bit strange. So and yeah.
It starts from there. That's where the pro career starts, huh? Perfect. And Victor, I guess there's a key point and there's a key decision that you sort of make along the way there that I would say, probably speaking to a lot of players get stuck in that, which is you went and you had the idea in mind that you were going to break into the pro system in the US. You get to a point where you start to realize not that it's impossible, but it becomes quite difficult, or there's a lot of other things involved in going pro other than just performance. I think the decision in terms of not trying to, stick at something that is clearly not going to give you the reward, but actually being able to be open-minded and change your approach is a really big thing. Was that something that you struggled with, or were you just sort of so tunnel vision on going pro that you didn't really care where it was?
Um, yeah, I mean, it kind of depends on how you look at it. I was, yeah, I mean, I was all set to just try and get into the pro system. And kind of like in the last couple of weeks uh, before the season ended in USL 2, I was, yeah, just kind of really open for everything that had something professional in it. Yeah, because like you said yourself, like I set myself up for this and really wanted to succeed with that plan. And if that meant going to completely new place, then yeah, I was up for that, and yeah, I went with that decision, and yeah, that's where I met you, and we played together for a couple of months, and yeah, again, going into a new place and a new team, new playing style, you learn from that as well, and and yeah, but it was not something that I thought going into the USL 2 season that I would end up in Cyprus. Yeah, for sure.
Of course. Football always works in really weird ways, which time and time again it sort of proves. Now, the move to Cyprus, obviously we know how it was and we went through that. The footballing side, I think you would probably agree to it. The level-wise was good, and it wasn't that much of a jump, I would say. I would say, obviously, you go into a full-time environment, but the jump isn't crazy. I guess there was definitely a lot of lessons to be learned off the pitch in an environment where we were. I guess talk to me from that side of things is obviously you get to a point where you realize not everything is just about what you do on the pitch and the performance. Going into sort of moves where, and as you start to get into pro environment where you realize there's a lot more that goes on outside of football, how do you sort of navigate that? Because I know from my experience, there were some days where it was really intense. There are some days where, and obviously when you're in a situation where, you're battling relegation and that sort of stuff, what was your sort of perspective on it, and how did you sort of manage it and handle it?
Yeah, it was it was for sure a massive difference. It was just, yeah, like it's hard to explain what was going on off the field, because yeah, a lot of it you don't really know what's going on. Like you said yourself, you go to practice and you train, and the level is good, and you have fun, and the trainings are good, but then you go home, and that's kind of it, and obviously there goes a lot. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that the players especially are not, yeah, well, they don't know anything of, and yeah, I think that kind of frustrated me a little bit, in yeah, from time to time, I went into the team getting told that I was gonna play, and ended up not playing. So yeah, I mean it was kind of weird, but at the same time, it was yeah, it was different.
It was,
Yeah,
man. It
I think
was.
we had a couple of talks as well, about each of our frustrations.
Yeah,
But
it was. It was an
yeah,
interesting period, that's for sure. But I would say, and I think from personally as well, probably that move in itself probably taught me the most about football that I've ever learned in maybe 3 or 4 months. It was a big eye opener to see, obviously, the wider picture of things as well. I guess, Victor, the question I have for you, and obviously it's a little bit part of the nature as a younger goalkeeper as well, but the side of being a number two goalkeeper, right? And it's something where, you go through your academy football, you go through your college system, and you're always that first choice, and then you step into men's football, and for some reasons outside of your control, you end up being a number two. As you mentioned, contrary to what you'd been promised. How do you sort of handle that? Because it can't be an easy thing to do, but it's also, as a goalkeeper and as a younger goalkeeper, sort of very common, right? So how do you sort of navigate that in between, obviously frustrated and, you're competitive and you want to play, but also trying to see the bigger picture? How did you sort of go with that?
yeah. I mean, it for sure is different from, let's say, other positions in football, because we don't just get subbed in. Like, you'll have a lot of players who say that they're bench players, but they kind of get 30 minutes here, 15 minutes here, and like throughout the season they maybe play like 20 to 25 games, obviously from the bench, but they'll get a little bit of playing time here and there. But as a backup goalkeeper, you don't, like,
Yep.
um, you can be lucky. Let's not call it lucky, but because I never wish any harm on my fellow goalkeepers. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean they can get injured, they can get red cards or whatever, which can put them out of upcoming games, and then you have the chance, but at the same time, if that doesn't happen, you have a whole season where you're just waiting for your chance. You know what you are capable of, but yeah, the rest of, well, outside the team doesn't really know that, and
Yeah.
that's something that's hard battling with, I'd say. Of course, you learn how to get through it, and work with it and against it in a way.
Yep.
But it for sure is hard when you're younger, I would say. And then again, you learn from being the second choice as well. You go into each practice wanting to prove yourself, and you work harder than, let's say you work harder than the first choice keeper. You may end up in a situation where you're outperforming him, week in and week out, but you don't really get anything out of it. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a battle with yourself, I would say, more than battling for your position in the team, because you have to kind of keep your mindset straight, and work with yourself and your own mentality every day, and even outside practice as well. Eating healthy, and going to the gym, or doing extra work outside of training hours. So for sure, it's a battle with yourself being a second choice. Yeah.
When you're in Cyprus, you sort of got to that point where you had a pro profile, and I think as a player, you start to realize that you're ready for that next step, and now you have agents coming into the picture and approaching you. There's definitely the element of players who do try and go the agent route too early when maybe they're not an attractive profile. But when you get to that side of things where you already have the pro profile and you're ready to make that jump, you ended up signing with an agency based in Denmark. Talk me through sort of what sort of happened, because there were a few sort of things and opportunities that did arise whilst you sort of at your back end of your period in Cyprus. So take me through sort of that and what ended up happening.
Yeah. So signed with this agency. Kind of out of nowhere. Really. Like I said, I didn't play much in Cyprus. But got the opportunity, and they saw something in me, which I thought was great at that time. Being in kind of on a low, I had the opportunity to get out of the contract that I had in Cyprus, because a better opportunity came along, which was a trial in FC Vizela in the second league of Portugal. I went there for a couple of weeks on trial, where we going into the trial, it was actually only meant to be a couple of days that I had to be on trial, but we had problems with a lot of paperwork. I think correct me if I'm wrong, but the Portuguese system has kind of a under 23 training compensation fee that has to be paid or something, for players under 23. It kind of came out of nowhere, and we ended up in a situation where we received the contract, but we didn't get the chance to sign it, and we actually ended up getting told on the last day of the transfer window that wasn't gonna be possible, and that we had to leave the next day, which was kind of wild in a way. You know, you go from a setup in Cyprus, where you thought everything was great, but you know, go to Portugal and you see a whole different world. After that, I went back home to Copenhagen. I started training with the team in the third division, at this time I was a free agent, then got the opportunity to sign with this team, even though we were looking for other teams, but we kind of got to a point where we had to sign for a team just to get playing time, which we chose, and we chose this team. They took me in and saw something, saw that I could go in and improve the team, it kind of went quite fast from there. I had, I think, 12 or 14 games for this team in the third division, in Copenhagen. I was just kind of grateful to find a team after being kind of sure of something, but then again, everything just fell out of place in the last minute. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that you sort of realize as you get into pro football is, I guess we always say, there's so much more to a move or to getting signed or a contract than just you're good enough and here's your contract, right? There's, as you experience and as, I've experienced myself and a lot of players who have been in good level academies coming up is, training compensation becomes a thing, and all of a sudden you have thousands and thousands of euros that need to be owed. But, unless you're a player who's broken through and you're playing at the top level, it's a very risky element for clubs to be able to fork out that money for sort of inexperienced players. So you sort of go off this high of, you're in Portugal. Being in Portugal myself, it's the biggest thing Portugal has is football. And you sort of see firsthand what it's like. You're on such a high. When you sort of get that news and then you sort of have to essentially go back to square one and go, what's next? What's that feeling like? Because obviously you have to do it. Obviously you have to get over it. But there's got to be a period there where it's not an easy one to get through.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a crazy big jump level-wise in... Personally, what I felt like was the wrong direction. Obviously, it can be good sometimes to drop down a level or two, which was in this situation, and kind of show yourself and dominate in a way your game. And but it was a very, very different feeling. Going from massive setup, big stadium, very good players, players playing, youth national team in Portugal, and then going to Copenhagen in a team that only just offers some players contracts, which was kind of weird. It was different, yeah. But then again, kind of back to what I had experienced before, going into something new and something that maybe wasn't too comfortable in a way, where you feel like, am I really going in the right direction, or like, is this the right fit for me? But at the same time, I knew that if I did well and I kept my game up, something bigger would come along, and it obviously it did. After 10 games, I started to get notified by my agent that a couple of teams were interested in me. I had talks with a couple of teams, and yeah, in the end, I chose to go and sign with the team that I'm currently in now. They were playing in the second division, but got promoted the summer that I signed. So yeah, I took a jump 2 leagues up, which was kind of what I dreamt of when I signed for the third division club. So yeah, I went here, and that was just a massive relief, kind of, like I said before, dropping down a level again into the unknown, and having the thought of wanting to go back up to that level that I was just at, and doing that is just it was a massive relief. It really was.
Absolutely. And I can imagine, there's not a lot of players who would make such a move or have gone through those events and I guess take it so gracefully. You as a player and as a competitor, you've obviously got an ego and you need to have that about you, but being able to have the confidence in yourself and in your performance to understand that you almost have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward, and going there for strategically minutes to essentially get playing again and get your profile back up. All of that paying off to then obviously make a jump where you're going 2 leagues up and, you're about to start the season as the number 1 of that team. That's got to be a massive feeling in terms of, as you said, relief, but also all that hard work and all those things where, you know, you're training and you're doing all the right things without getting the results immediately for them, they start to all pay off, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, it's just a great feeling, you know. Like you said, like the hard work that you put into to every training session and all the extras that you may do after all the training sessions. Like the feeling of it paying off is just massive. It really is.
Absolutely, man. Victor, I appreciate you taking me through your journey. Before we wrap up, got a few quick fire questions, I guess, for you, just to get a little bit of an insight and just to give a little bit of a better idea of sort of hindsight, I guess. So the first one I have, Victor, is if you could tell, you know, your 17-year-old self before you even left home for the first time, one thing about the journey and what it actually took to become a pro and where you are today, what's one piece of advice you'd give yourself?
Just keep working, and yeah, just keep working. I've always worked hard, and obviously mentally, like it has shifted a bit up and down in moments of my career, but I've always kind of had the thought of working hard. So yeah, I think. I kind of feel like I've done that, kept working hard, so it would be a big shock for 17-year-old me to get told to keep working, but that would definitely be it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess for any players who are sort of in that position, let's say where, you know, where you've been a couple of times and you're sort of deliberating on what's the right next step, you know, whether it's college or it's going abroad or it's, you know, trying to break through in your home country, what's the best piece of advice that you would give them in terms of being able to determine what the best route is for them?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it all comes down to being happy. You know, if you feel happy and you feel good about yourself and within yourself, you feel good playing, and it's kind of like this. How should I say it? Like it all just adds up. Like if you're happy doing one thing, you're happy with kind of everything else, you know, and it kind of translates to life as well. Like if you're happy in life, and yeah, I think find the right fit in terms of what makes you happy, and once you're there, just work harder than everyone else. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the happiness part is always a key. It always makes football easier. But I guess the question I'll give you, and we'll finish it off here, is was pro football and was sort of the journey to pro football easier or harder with more ups and downs than what you anticipated?
It was way harder. way harder than I expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with a lot more ups and downs than what I thought at first. Obviously, every kid who starts playing at a young age will have the thought of like going through all the ranks, and then boom, you're just professional. And obviously that's the story for a lot of players, but yeah, in my situation it wasn't like that, but yeah, it's definitely been a lot tougher than what I thought going into like starting playing when I was young.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. And so, Victor, you sort of, you know, you're back in pre-season now. We were previously discussing, and you prospected to be obviously the starting keeper in the team this season, you know, going into a big competitive season ahead. What's the sort of hopes and expectations for the season ahead?
Yeah, just going in and showing myself off. Like you said, it's my first season here as a first choice. Yeah, a lot of big games coming up, even here in preseason, and you know, at this level, you either you perform or you don't, and if you perform, you may have a lot of great chances to take another step in the right direction. So yeah, I think personally just improving in all the ways possible, and then hopefully being able to take a step in the right direction once we get to the other side of the season.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll definitely be all keeping tabs on how you get on. Viktor, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. There's definitely been so many hidden gems in throughout your speech today, obviously. Really appreciate you taking the time, and we're really looking forward to how you get on in the season.
Appreciate being here.
Thank you, mate.